that represent the relationship that we once had.
It's so hard to get teenage slang down, so Ariel and I realised that we both had some similar slang that we would say, so we just tried to incorporate that into the script.
She's like a crack whore without the dignity.
Totally jacked her Barbie kitchen. Trust me, Hannah, I'm way past getting back at Dad.
They're two peas in a pod, and they're really bringing a great experience off camera that they're having together into their scenes on camera. You'll totally believe that they're sisters.
Working with Elizabeth Banks was really cool. We can kind of muck around on set and have fun, but then she can sort of really snap into that kind of awful, evil sort of character.
I knew Elizabeth Banks would make a great Rachel when I first met her at the table read, because she knocked it out of the park and terrified me.
It was the first time we got a sense of how the chemistry was going to really work.
Elizabeth was great because she has a very attractive American quality, but also at the same time she has a sense of danger about her.
What's your real name, Rachel?
What did you say? You know what, Anna? I don't think this is going to work out. I think it's always fun for the audience to watch the villain have a good time mincing over the other characters.
I don't want to hurt you.
This isn't how I wanted it.
You can make this easy.
The fight scene with Elizabeth and I was so many shots and so intense.
And we went for it, and she was balls out doing it along with me, and I was really impressed by her get up and go.
Elizabeth is really focused and keeps you right in the moment.
So you have a house full of women now, Mr. Writer?
It's interesting that it's one of the major relationships in the film, but we don't really talk to each other.
We actually don't spend that much on-screen time together. It's just terrible.
And the information that we have to tell the audience about this relationship is done mostly without dialogue.
So, you know, you just hope for someone who just brings, through their talent and through their body of work, a gravitas.
You could really believe him as this writer living in this big house, quite isolated, leading sort of, you know, a cerebral life with his books.
There's a reason for what happened. It's Rachel. She's not who you think she is.
I've always noticed that a less intelligent actor can't play smarter than he is. You can't pretend intelligent somehow, and David's a very, very smart man.
My very first day of shooting was the scene where I yell at him in the office. He heard me getting into character, talking to myself, yelling things. He just started saying things to me to provoke that anger. And so, I mean, he's really gave to me in that scene wonderfully. Oh, you disgust me.
And you certainly believe that this is a haunted writer.
Because Stephen the father is a writer, and the way we wanted to portray him was that he led a quite isolated life. So we set out to then find a location that could sort of achieve that objective for us. On the one hand, you could look at it and say, what a spectacular place to live. Brilliant place for the girls to kind of grow up, surrounded by such beauty. But then looked at in a slightly different light, the same place became terrifying.
80% of the story takes place at the house, so couldn't really make the movie without the right house. In fact, we had 2 houses in Louisiana which were terrible compromises, and both of them fell through. We didn't even have the house that didn't work.
Unfortunately, most of the properties we saw, the owners didn't want to rent it. When it comes down to it, not many families want to give their houses over to a film crew for 4 months in the summer. The place that we did find just north of Vancouver, it was really stunning and brought the story in our heads into life, just in the setting and in this environment.
It's actually the dream house of a family, a lovely family, and it was built about 6 or 7 years ago. We did have to do a lot to suggest that it's 25, 30 years old, that there's a sense of history there.
When I went in for the interview and they said we'd like wallpapers, I was thinking 1 or 2 wallpapers. I didn't realize how much I would need to look at wallpaper. Because we were moving into an existing house and we actually weren't allowed to do a lot of work to it. Things that we could replace were wallpapers, but a lot of the trim is white, so you'll notice the lighting's quite dark in there, and that's trying to take the emphasis off the white. The original film had a lot of wallpapers, and even individual walls within a room changed for different wallpapers. What I've also noticed, just looking at a lot of Korean movies, it's more a Korean cultural thing. So the guys were very influenced by that.
The original Tale of Two Sisters is almost an art film. We really hoped to capture some of that and keep it in the Uninvited.
In the original, from the first frame of the film, you're sort of captivated with the beauty of the colors. Everything is very fairy tale-like. What the boys did with incorporating that feeling and putting it into our story, it's not an easy thing to do.
Don't be afraid. I'm a nurse.
We felt strongly that if we could keep the story centered around Anna and make the audience feel like they were experiencing everything from her point of view, then that was something that was going to really make the twist even more powerful. And the drugged scene was a perfect way of bringing this point of view to a climax.
We wanted to create a sense of a dislocation with Anna, and we'd shot a commercial on an old camera with 3 lenses that you dial in and out. And we just thought it was a great way of creating this blinking out, in and out of consciousness for Anna as she's drugged and taken up the stairs.
This is a movie about an unreliable narrator, to say the least. There's the picture and there's the frame. The picture is all about this story of Anna and her sister and how they're going to stop the wicked stepmother.
Anna, we're the last one standing between Rachel and what she really wants.
Well, that's all framed by a completely different reality, which is that Anna, tragically, is the cause of all of this, and there is no Alex. And certainly the biggest challenge was to have the movie operate on both levels simultaneously.
We also wanted to make sure that when you got to the end of the film, you could look back over it and it would still make sense. It was very complicated because you had to make sure that the scenes could play both ways, really. Any scene with Alex in, when we came to shoot it, was always complicated and took a long time to block. Always twice as long as any other scene, really.
It was challenging to kind of construct the rules. She could interact with anything when she was in the presence of only Anna, but when she was with other members of the family, no, she couldn't touch anything.
There's a scene when Anna overhears her sister screaming at her dad, and that was just a great sleight of hand, because without the girl, it was the dad feeling very concerned and worried about his daughter, who he's brought back into the house from hospital.
She's been trying to tell me something. The fire wasn't an accident. It was her.
It's a very stylish, very atmospheric, beautifully directed movie.
There's a movie that you buy, and then there's a movie you develop, but then there's the movie you make.
And we were really there all working together as a team.
It was challenging for all of us. And it's a long chunk of your life, and you want to feel that you're collaborating with people, that there's a common goal.
I think there are cineasts who adore the Korean Tale of Two Sisters, and, you know, hopefully they will think that, well, we did a credible job of translating it, of honoring it, but also making it work for this audience.
Alex is dead! What have you done?
I really hope it shocks people and surprises them in the way that it shocked me when I read the script.